Hello and welcome. In this video, we are going to look at the concept of coordination as it is understood by Vadim Zeeland in his book Reality Transurfing, a book based in quantum physics that presents a model of reality which teaches you how to shift your life by aligning your thoughts, emotions, and actions with alternative versions of reality that already exist in a field of infinite possibilities. In Reality Transurfing, coordination is a core concept that helps explain how our internal state shapes what we encounter in the external world. Vadim Zeeland defines coordination not as a method of control, but as a way to preserve inner balance in the face of both desirable and undesirable events. It is the art of remaining clear, stable, and free of inner or outer importance, regardless of how life unfolds, which allows us to navigate reality intentionally instead of life happening to us. In everyday life, most people are pulled out of balance by strong emotional reactions to events. When something good happens, there is excitement, elation, perhaps even desperation to hold on to it. When something bad happens, the immediate response is often fear, panic, or disappointment. Zeeland points out that these emotional fluctuations are not neutral. They are energetic movements that ripple into the alternative space, a vast non-physical field that contains every possible version of reality, like a matrix of parallel life tracks. Each thought, feeling, and action influences which of these versions you align with, subtly shifting your trajectory in daily life. When we lose our balance, we also disrupt the alignment between our inner world and the life track we wish to move toward. The result is usually the opposite of what we hoped for. Coordination is what prevents this from happening. It is the practice of staying calm in the midst of both success and failure. Not detached in an indifferent way, but internally centered in a state of quiet certainty. It's about choosing what you want with clarity but without clinging, from a state where your energy doesn't push or pull. It just guides. If something unwanted happens, coordination allows you to accept it without resisting, knowing that no situation is ever truly final. If something desired happens, coordination allows you to enjoy it without assigning exaggerated meaning to it or developing a fear of losing it. You don't lose yourself in either the victory or the failure. You are focused, but not obsessed. In other words, Zeeland is not suggesting that one should avoid feeling emotions or stop caring about the things that one wants. Rather, he explains that there is a difference between feeling something and being consumed by it. It's the difference between holding a vision with love and squeezing this vision until it breaks. Coordination is the ability to remain lucid, even in moments of intense emotion. It is the discipline of refusing to create excess potential, which is one of the main causes of energetic imbalance in the transurfing model. Excess potential arises when you assign too much importance to something. This importance is not a neutral mental label. It creates an energetic distortion in the alternative space, which then triggers balancing forces. These balancing forces work to neutralize excess potential, often in ways that appear random or even cruel. For example, if you fear failure too much, that very fear becomes a magnet for events that confirm it. If you desire something too much, the energy of desperation often pushes it away. Coordination cuts through this dynamic by helping you maintain perspective. It teaches you to see situations clearly, without magnifying their significance. If you want something, you can move toward it with focus and intention, but without placing it on a pedestal. If you fear something, you can acknowledge its possibility without letting it dominate your field of attention. You take responsibility for your movement through the alternative space without attempting to control every outcome or cling to expectations. To firmly grasp this on a deep level, you need to be familiar with how you respond to life. You need to listen to your thoughts and how they may, for example, conjure up all kinds of fantasies about what a situation might lead to, what this situation means to you personally, how it's going to affect you, and how you must respond to it. This dynamic may even spiral you into one thought of despair after another, while nothing may have even changed on the outside. It may just be a vague possibility that is at the moment far from being materialized. But by obsessing over your thoughts and feeding the situation with negative emotions, according to the transurfing model, you increase the likelihood of the event actually showing up in your life. The transurfing model views life as a kind of flow, something already existing in the space of variations. What appears as the future is already out there, waiting to be chosen by the vector of your thoughts, emotions, and actions. Coordination strengthens your ability to navigate this space without being hijacked by external circumstances. It lets you choose the line of life you move into with more precision and less distortion. In practice, this means developing a kind of calm confidence, even in uncertainty. When you are coordinated, you do not fear surprises. You are not shaken by delays or setbacks. You remain clear about your goals, but you do not clutch at them. You take steps, but you do not rush. You allow the world to respond without interpreting every fluctuation as a sign of doom or success. Zeeland often reminds us that emotional overreaction, whether positive or negative, pulls you out of balance. For example, even something like falling in love, if infused with too much inner or outer importance, can distort the natural flow of events. The feeling becomes heavy, charged with expectation, fear of loss, or exaggerated hopes. Coordination does not mean repressing love, joy, or any form of emotional experience. It means choosing to stay lucid in them, recognizing their movement without identifying with them completely. This might sound abstract, but the principle is simple. Coordination is the choice to remain conscious when everything in you wants to react automatically. It is a practice, not a mood, and it can be developed like any other skill. The more you observe your internal reactions, the more clearly you'll see when you are being pulled into excess potential. In those moments, you can pause and bring your awareness back to center. Over time, this becomes your default response. Life still moves you, but it no longer sweeps you away. Many people live in a state of emotional reactivity. If something happens that does not match their expectations, they immediately try to change the situation or resist it. If something they desire seems close, they might begin to overestimate its meaning or fear losing it. Both reactions generate excess potential, which is then corrected by balancing forces. The result is usually a breakdown in flow, missed opportunities, sudden difficulties, or internal confusion. Coordination prevents this chain of events. It is a way of responding to life from a more grounded place. Instead of immediately reacting, you create space between the event and your interpretation of it. That space gives you power. It gives you room to act instead of react. From there, you can align yourself with the life track you prefer, instead of being pulled into one that matches your emotional turbulence. The absence of coordination often expresses itself as inner conflict. You might find yourself wanting something and fearing it at the same time, or telling yourself you've accepted something while still feeling resistance. Coordination cuts through this contradiction. It encourages a simple, stable inner posture. I am here. I see what's happening. I know what I prefer. I allow what is to be, and I walk toward what I choose. It's also important to note that coordination is not passivity. It does not mean surrendering to whatever happens and hoping for the best. On the contrary, it means maintaining your inner clarity so you can choose your actions wisely. You still move, you still speak, you still make decisions, but you do so from a stable place, free from the pull of exaggerated fears or desires. You do it from a place of power and not from a place of force. Zeeland describes coordination as a state of unity within yourself. When you are coordinated, your thoughts, feelings, and actions are aligned. You are not pulled in different directions by inner tension. You are not acting one way while secretly hoping for something else. This internal harmony creates a kind of resonance in the alternative space. Life responds more fluidly. Doors open with less effort. You notice possibilities you would have missed in a reactive state. There is a kind of paradox here. The more you need something, the harder it is to get it. But the more you are at peace within yourself, the more naturally it flows toward you. Coordination helps you enter that paradox without collapsing into confusion. It keeps you alert, engaged, and aware, but not tense. One of the more challenging aspects of coordination is recognizing how easily we slip into internal or external importance. Internal importance arises when you overestimate your own role, when you feel the need to prove yourself, uphold a certain self-image, or view your worth as being at stake in a situation. External importance is something that we've already touched upon. It is when you place something outside of you, a goal, person, or event, on a pedestal, believing that your happiness or success depends on it. Both types of importance generate excess potential by creating an energetic imbalance, which then draws in corrective forces that can lead to undesirable outcomes. In internal importance, one is looking to the outside world for validation. In outer importance, one is looking to the outside world to provide a sense of safety, satisfaction, and fulfillment. These forms of importance can be subtle. You might not consciously believe that something is overly important, but if you experience emotional turmoil when it is threatened, delayed, or doesn't go your way, then some level of excess potential has already been created. Coordination helps you notice this early. It encourages you to step back from the mental commentary that insists things must be a certain way, or that you need something specific in order to feel okay. In doing so, it restores balance and allows you to move through life with greater clarity and flow. You know what matters to you, but you don't make it sacred. You don't create idols out of your desires or demons out of your fears. You walk a straight path, aware of your surroundings, but not controlled by them. This is not always easy, but it is liberating. When coordination becomes a habit, you begin to notice how many things that used to disturb you no longer have that power. You gain a kind of emotional immunity, not by becoming cold or indifferent, but by remaining internally whole. The world may still move around you, but your axis stays stable. From that place, you can interact with life more freely. You can move through changes without losing your center. You can pursue your goals without being consumed by them, or needing the path toward them to unfold exactly as you envision it. Coordination is not about never feeling doubt. It is about learning to see doubt without becoming it. It is about recognizing anxiety without feeding it. When you are coordinated, you stop resisting your internal experience and begin working with it consciously. This changes the way life unfolds. It does not mean that nothing difficult ever happens, but it does mean that your response becomes more intelligent, more effective, and more aligned with the life you want to live. As with most practices in reality transurfing, the effects of coordination are cumulative. The more you remain in balance, the more stable your movement through the alternative space becomes. Reality begins to feel less like a struggle and more like a mirror. You start to see how your internal state echoes in external events. You notice patterns. You make adjustments. You take steps without anxiety. You recover from setbacks without collapsing. You stop clinging to outcomes because you trust your capacity to remain in alignment. Zeeland is clear that coordination is not a philosophy. It is a method of inner positioning that helps you avoid unnecessary conflict and turbulence. A method that helps you navigate toward your chosen goals without triggering resistance from the world. A method that gives you freedom, not by controlling events, but by controlling your relationship to them. The power of coordination lies in its simplicity. It does not require rituals, affirmations, or techniques. It requires attention, awareness, and a willingness to observe yourself in the moment and adjust your inner response. That is enough. Coordination is the decision to move through life with presence instead of panic, with steadiness instead of strain. This means that it can be practiced anywhere at any time, without demanding any extra time from you. It may be helpful to think of coordination not as something you do, but as a way of being. A quiet confidence. A refusal to give your energy to extremes. A stable point in a shifting world. You are not passive, but you are not reactive. You are alert, but not tense. You are willing to move, but not in haste. You walk, you observe, you choose. From this place, your actions carry more power because they are not diluted by internal contradiction. Your thoughts align with your direction. Your feelings support your movement instead of working against it. You become, in a sense, invisible to the forces that destabilize others. You are not easily thrown off course. You no longer sabotage your progress by overreacting to each twist in the road. In a world that constantly pulls at your attention, coordination is a form of sovereignty. It is not resistance to life. It is the art of flowing with life without losing yourself in it. It is the quiet strength of knowing that you can meet what arises without collapsing into fear or fantasy. When you understand and apply the principle of coordination, you begin to see that freedom is not found in controlling everything around you. It is found in regulating your relationship to what happens. That is the essence of coordination. And in the Reality Transurfing framework, it is one of the most reliable ways to move into the life track you truly desire. In summary, coordination in Reality Transurfing is the practice of maintaining inner balance in the face of both success and failure. It means choosing presence over reactivity and clarity over emotional extremes. Rather than trying to control external events, coordination helps you manage how you relate to what happens, avoiding the creation of excess potential through internal or external importance. By staying grounded and lucid, even in moments of intense emotion, you align more naturally with favorable life tracks already present in the alternative space. Coordination is not a technique to master, but a stable way of being that gives your thoughts, feelings, and actions coherence, allowing life to unfold with less resistance and more flow. Now, before we go, let's look at how one concretely practices coordination. It isn't something to force. It isn't a technique to master or a set of rules to follow. It is more like something that is remembered in the moment, a return to center, a quiet shift in posture rather than a dramatic effort. It begins with awareness, pausing, breathing, and observing where the energy is moving. Asking simple questions. Where is my focus? Am I responding from calm intention or reacting from fear? Has something become so important that it now feels urgent, heavy, or emotionally charged? As stated previously, you need to become acquainted with your thoughts. Not just what they are saying directly, but what they say about your attitude toward whatever is present in the moment. And you need to truly notice how you respond to the situation. People in general are much more unconscious of these things than they are aware of. When there is a sense of grasping toward a goal, an outcome, or even a worry, that is the signal. The invitation is not to resist the impulse or suppress the emotion, but simply to soften, to release the tension, to come back to the understanding that the choice has already been made and that the movement toward it can be steady and clear rather than frantic or controlling. One useful inner attitude is this: if this, or something better, is aligned with my path, then let it unfold. If not, let it pass. This is not resignation. It is confidence in alignment. It is trust in the flow of life without becoming passive. The intention remains clear. The movement continues, but the grip loosens, and with it, the distortion disappears. This is coordination, a way of walking with your life rather than against it. not giving your power away to outcomes, and not losing your rhythm every time the world shifts around you. It is the quiet strength of remembering who you are, what you've chosen, and the direction you've set, without needing to force anything into place. It is the inner steadiness that lets you stay open, even in uncertainty, and responsive, even in change. And in the framework of reality transurfing, it is what allows the reality you've already chosen to meet you without resistance. If you want to learn more about different aspects of reality transurfing, we have a playlist with videos exploring different topics in Zeeland's work available on the end screen right now, together with a video on self-observation as it is taught in the Fourth Way system, a practical school of inner work. It will help you get acquainted with your habitual responses to your experiences, which is essential for practicing coordination effectively. You've now reached the end of the video. Remember to like and subscribe. Thank you for your time.